So, as we look at this play, um, you know, Alex, if you're Bryson Daly here, you're the Army quarterback. What do you see in the defense that lets you know this play action pass, this post pattern to Noah Short right here in the slot might be successful?
I mean, you can see that safety to the boundary side. He's basically in the box. Um, yep, right up there. So, I mean, maybe you're thinking cover three. Obviously, that he's not too far in where you think maybe he can still get there from the disguise if it's a cover two. But you probably don't have help over the top on that boundary side. So yeah, I mean, you're basically it appears to be a run heavy defense in this. So when you have play action called, I think he's pretty excited to see what will happen.
Gonna have to minimize again to play it. There we go. Like you said, no help over the top. He's able to hit the post pattern for a touchdown. Very successful. He dropped the diamond there, threw it right where it needed to be, led Noah perfectly. What did you think about that pass and the accuracy of
Yeah,
it?
great pass, great catch. Reached out with his hands. And just when you're defending Army, obviously that was really early in the game. I think that was like 3 minutes into the game, but all week you're basically practicing just assignment football, option. Like you're going to see so many runs during the week that I mean you're going to throw in a few of those passes, but you're just never expecting it, and just that slight little delay was able to get Noah that extra step, and then when you put that on him with that accurate pass, it's really hard to defend. So, yeah, just very well executed. And yeah, that was a great momentum boost to start the game, set the tone.
Absolutely. Army has scored on their first drive in all three games now. So great way to get out front. Army loves playing from out front. They do a really good job with that because of the style of play they have. And now
Absolutely.
that puts pressure on the Rice offense. You're down 7-0. You know you better score because if you don't, you may not see the ball for a little while, which is exactly what happened. Something we don't have a clip on, but not sure if you remember or not from Rice's first drive. Uh, on their third down play, I believe it was right before they punted. Something I noticed that Coach Woody dialed up that I thought was a really nice call. We used to call it a Beck stunt, basically backer and end X. Brett Jarena looped all the way around and put a lot of pressure on EJ Warner. Do you remember that play? You want to talk
Yep.
to that?
Yeah. I mean, stunts are great. It really just confuses the O line, kind of similar to what I was just talking about with those slight delays. Where the game just gets sped up a little bit and your pre-snap of what you're looking at and what you think is going to happen just changes and you need to react. And if you're not repping that in practice and you're not aware, then that's all it takes to the person to be even or to get that one step behind you, and then it's kind of game over. So adding those adding motions, adding stunts, all those things are kind of what make coordinators stand out from other coordinators, and really makes the game just that next kind of level of complexity of reacting out there on the field.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Cody Worley and Nate Woody weren't at Army when you played, but they've been there the last couple of years. Talk about the job. You kind of already hit on it a little bit with both of them, but talk about the job Army's coordinators are doing of seemingly always dialing up the right play. I mean, I know at the end of the day, the players have to execute it, but they seem to be really keeping the other team off balance on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely doing a great job. I think they're really just playing into kind of Army football strengths, which are, fundamental, doing your job, all those things where, it's just discipline, everything that's preached every single day, not trying to just go out and make a play and be in somebody else's gap. So, those types of things where there's stunts. Everybody is still gapped out. There's nobody that is going underneath the tackle and the quarterback's scrambling free. So all those things. And then obviously on the offense, it's really the same thing, but they're able to just every single person hat on hat, nobody's going unblocked and getting big TFLs that now puts them behind the sticks. They're always ahead on first down. So I just think that they're really just playing into those strengths, and obviously Coach Monken's got these guys um, playing fundamental football, which is great to see.
Absolutely. Talking about the 2024 version of the Army defense, there was a famous defense in the NFL. I think it might have been the Minnesota Vikings. I can't remember. Maybe the Miami Dolphins. They called it. This was way back in the 70s, before your time. But it was called the No Name Defense. And the Army D this year, you look, it's a lot of new faces, a lot of kids who haven't played a lot. It was funny. I was looking at statistics today to try and figure out who I wanted to interview on the Army defense, and the leading tackler was actually Max DiDomenico, to the safety, with 4 total tackles, which
Wow.
just speaks to what you just said about everybody doing their 111th and really spreading it around. Like, there were so many guys with 1 tackle, but very few guys with more than 2 or 3.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's just that's that is just as effective as having some star dude that has to make all the tackles. Honestly, it's more effective because if that one dude gets hurt, now all of a sudden you're really
Yeah.
in trouble. Now you got the next guy up. Everybody's doing their job. They know the expectation. So yeah, I mean, it was definitely a total team effort today, and everybody was making plays when the opportunity arose.
Absolutely. So then Army goes on a typical Army soul-crushing drive. They use up the rest of the clock in the first quarter. Time of possession, the first quarter for Army was over 13 minutes. They get down into the red zone in the second quarter, and I believe they had second and goal from the 7. And Bryson Daly takes it in. We've got that play, so I'm going to cue that up for our viewers again here for us to take a look at. Share on there. Okay, let's try this again.
All good. This is a learning experience.
I know, right? Okay, we got this the one I want. Here's this one now. Nope, it's this one. Okay, got it. All right, let me hit share. The good thing is Charles and his daughter can edit this and make it look good.
Perfect.
Let's see, share screen. There we go. Okay, so let me go to full screen here. All right, Alex. Like I said, second and goal from the 7. Army's pretty much in traditional flex bone with the orbit motion here. Explain what Bryson's looking at defensively to make his read keys as best he can. I mean, I know you probably don't know all of them, but go for it from what you see.
Yeah. I mean, so I see on the offense they brought in an extra O lineman. That or they pulled the O lineman over. So this is definitely like a heavy look. You got the fullback with the neck roll, so they're definitely packing the run heavy set here. But yeah, I mean, it's a gaggle in there. Everybody's kind of in the box. Nobody's out wide. There's a lot of bodies out there, so it's just man on man, kind of who's more physical, who's going to push who back. So he's probably getting the ball and then just trying to find a hole and see which O lineman really wins big, and where he can wiggle in there.
Yep, and that's exactly what we're going to see is the push that the Army offensive line gets here.
Yeah, I mean, you can see he's getting touched 5 yards.
And look at Rendina, as you said, the fullback with the neck roll. He
Yeah.
drove his guy like 6 yards back into the end zone.
Yep. And it's just a lot of mass coming at you. And a lot of those D linemen, I mean, you see when D linemen they hate playing Army. One, because it's gonna hurt their sack numbers. It's gonna hurt
Right.
Those highlight plays, and there's people coming at their legs, they're getting double teamed. It's a physical game, and if you're one of those athletic like DN types, this is not the game that you're circling on the schedule of like, oh, I'm gonna make some plays. That's the Big 12, they're gonna throw the ball every single play team. So yeah, if you're not prepared for just war when you play Army as a one of those front seven guys, it's going to be a really long day, and that's pretty much how it went today.
Yeah, I watched Florida Atlantic's post game press conference with their players, and every one of their players and Tom Herman, all they could talk about was how physical Army was. So
Yeah,
yeah, if you're not in for a war, you're in trouble.
yeah,
So Army goes up 14-0 there. And then you know, Rice starts moving the ball a little bit,
yep,
gets down into the red zone, and as has become the Nate Woody standard, the red zone defense was awesome, holds them to a field goal, and Elo Mendoza comes in, made a really nice play that I'd like you to kind of, we don't have the video of it, but if you could break it down a little bit to block that field goal.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know if one of those guys kind of. I mean, I know we did this. It's a little illegal, but you line up with the guy and try to kind of pull him, try to open that gap a little bit. But he
Yep.
snuck right through there, got skinny, jumped through, and made a play. So really, that might have been the biggest momentum play of the game because it's like you get this soul crushing 13-minute drive or however long you said it finished the whole first quarter. You finally get the ball back. You think, all right, we're driving a little bit. You get stopped in the red zone. It's like, oh man, that kind of hurts. We would have loved to get 7, but at least we'll get 3. And then it's boom, blocked field goal, decent return. Now they're in good field position. And then obviously they go down and score to make it 21-0. So just that whole flip. And now like the offensive coordinator is kind of spiraling, like, oh my gosh, now we're down 3 scores. Like, what am I supposed to dial up? I don't even know if we're gonna get the ball back 3 times at least or 4 times. So it's like it gets really tough. And that's why it's really hard to play Army when they're ahead, and especially by 3 scores. So that was a huge momentum boost for the team on that blocked field goal.
Yep. And yeah, and then Army goes down with that. Oh, hey, my camera froze. Great. Army goes down with that and scores on the Bryson Daly 3-yard leap into the end zone. Did his best Barry Sanders impersonation and gets the score. It was when I talked to him in the post game. He was like, "Yeah, my mom hates it when I do that." And he goes, "After I watched the replay on the tablet on the sideline, I realized I didn't even need to do that." So
It looked cool. It looked cool though. I
it
I
did look
loved
cool, right?
it.
That's what
That's
I said. It
cool.
looked great. So they're up 21-0. And then now Rice is really in desperation mode. They're trying
Yep.
to get a quick score 2-minute drill before the half. And Andon Thomas makes a super athletic play on the interception, grabbing the tip ball from Max DiDomenico and getting that toe in. Talk a little bit about what you saw there on that INT.
Yeah, I mean that was sweet INT. Dude went up for the ball. Nice play on the ball to get it out of there. And then yeah, like 2 of the dudes were going for it, but Thomas, at the very last second, oh, I think it was even one-handed, pins it, drags the toe. Just yeah, that's a highlight play. So hopefully we see that on Sports Center. It should be up there. If I don't know how the rest of the week's going to go with all the other games, but that was definitely a highlight worthy. That'll be on the highlight tape at the end of the year for sure.
They do. I don't know. Like I haven't watched like Monday Night Preview in a while or whatever on ESPN, Monday Night Countdown ever since like Berman left or whatever. But
Yeah.
I know with Randy Moss, they used to have a segment called Toe Drag Swag, and that would definitely be in there for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. I mean that was an awesome play, and I mean I don't want to call it a dagger because it was in the first half, but man, we want to talk about demoralizing going into halftime. Sheesh. Like after that, and then they go, obviously we went down and scored, and now they're going to the locker room 28-0. Like, yeah, that's a huge momentum swing. That's a yeah, huge play of the game.
Yeah, that was a massive dagger. As a former linebacker, Alex, um, talk about what you see with Andon Thomas. It's his first year starting, but I've been really impressed with his athleticism.
Yeah, I mean that's the first thing I was gonna say. He's obviously really athletic. there's not a lot of linebackers that can even make that play. So, having a guy that can go sideline to sideline is fast, can make plays with the ball. The game's only going to slow down for him. Those first few starts you get, everything seems really fast. Everything, you're just not diagnosing the plays as fast. But with each start, with each play you're out there, everything just gets slower and slower. And then you can really use those tools that you've built up in the weight room and those speed improvement workouts to really maximize the talent you have. So he definitely has a bright future, and yeah, he'll be good to go this year.
Very cool. So that drive, Army goes down really nice 1 minute drill. It wasn't really even a 2 minute drill, 1 minute drill. Let me make sure I pull up the right highlight for this one. I've got it. Let me just share my screen here now. Going down, Bryson Daly hits Casey Reynolds in the corner of the end zone with a 17-yard pass to cap the drive and go up 28 nothing into halftime, which is really just an absolute dagger against Army. I mean, you get down 4 touchdowns against Army, unless stuff goes really wrong for them, you're not coming back from that. So
And
here we go.
yep. Well, just one thing I wanted to say, like they were in that 1 minute drill, they were doing really well with time management. A ton of them were getting out of bounds, going forward, so the clock was stopping. They used their timeout. That this is following the timeout, so they didn't let any time go off. So really, just very well executed 1 minute drill all around.
Yeah, really high quality clock management, which you don't typically associate with an Army offense in the 1 minute drill, but it was something that was really well executed. I completely agree with you. Now, as I'm looking at this, at the snap, I don't even see Casey Reynolds in the picture, so I'm thinking he's split out at the bottom of the screen, probably.
Or is that, or is the wing up on the line of scrimmage? I don't know.
Okay, like up here.
I think all 11 are on the screen. I think he might
Okay.
be the guy at the very top, but we'll see.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. That's him right
I
there.
think that's him. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Good eye. Good look. So, all right, we will roll it and just tell me what you're seeing here.
I mean, it's just a really good route, and I don't know if they'll show the end zone copy, but I know when I was watching the game, he really just broke this dude off, and that one step of separation was enough. The Rice safety was kind of flat-footed at the top of the route, and then that was enough to get that separation. Oh, here we go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
here's the end zone view.
and so 28 is the guy that will have him, and it's just really a route. And
Oh
that's a
yeah.
good 2, 3 yard separation. Put the ball in a perfect spot. So yeah, look at Army dialing up the passes.
I know. What is that? I mean, when you can throw for 116 yards and rush for 300 as a because you used to have to go against Army's offense in practice. I
Hmm.
mean, this offense is a little different, granted. How difficult does that become? You're trying to play assignment football. You're as a defensive back, especially as a safety, you might be trying to run the alley for pitch or whatever it is, and all of a sudden you got to really worry about a legitimate passing threat.
Yeah, well, I mean, it really starts, in my opinion, with not being able to stop the run. Like when you're getting dominated off the line of scrimmage, when they're just running it basically at will. Defending the pass is kind of an afterthought, and yeah, it becomes just a massacre at that point, really. Because now, as a D lineman, it's really hard to go from run mode, get into a pass rush. Like you're not going to get good get off. You're going to probably be going sideways. So now the quarterback's back there. He doesn't really have much pressure. And all the safeties and linebackers are reacting slowly because again they're not stopping the run. So that's kind of the main focus. So Worley was able to, sometimes it's just lulling them to sleep, run, run, run. Why would they not run it again? Because it's working so well for them. Oh, okay, here's a pass, and there's a big chunk and or a 25-yard touchdown. So I mean, when you can't stop the run, it is very, very difficult to play defense.
Yeah, and Bryson Daly told me when I interviewed him earlier this week that he was working really hard on his accuracy and his connections with the receivers because he felt like he left a couple out there in the first two games. So I thought by far he had his most accurate game today. And
Yeah.
Rice, if I'm not mistaken, was actually leading the nation in sacks coming into the game
Yep.
today, and
Yeah,
they
they
got
said that.
yeah.
Yeah,
So that's
there was like maybe one or two pressures, maybe a one sack, but I mean,
yeah, just the one, and he unloaded it just before he got
oh,
sacked.
there's yeah, that one too. That was crazy. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're up 28 nothing at halftime going to Q3 and then self-inflicted wound for Rice as they dropped the punt snap for a safety. They're probably happy it was only two and not seven there in that case. Especially the way Coach Saturnio likes to dial up the punt blocks near the end zone. So then Army's up 30 nothing. The game's pretty much out of reach. But then Army does make maybe their only mistake of the game. 4th and 9 from their own 35. They go for a fake. Coach Monken said in a post-game press conference that it was a dual call. They had two different fakes they could call, and they called the wrong one based on what the punter saw. And Coach Monken said he thinks he probably could have radioed in before the 15-second deadline and told the punter, but typical Coach Monk, and he blamed himself for it. But that was probably a pretty big risk to take there up 30 to nothing, 4th and 9 on our own 35. So thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I mean, Coach Monken loves special teams. Anybody that's been around him, that's like that's his thing. So, he loves the fakes. He loves just I mean, obviously just very well executed special teams play. But yeah, I mean, he honestly, that was like that little period, that I don't know, 8 minute stretch where that was involved. He's probably just like now he has something to talk about that's not just super positive to keep the guys humble for next week.
Right. Keep
So
them honest.
yeah, coming into meetings tomorrow, he'll be like, "Oh, see how we let up? We can't do that." So now he gave the coaches some fuel to still keep the guys humble and be ready for next week. So I mean, yeah, they probably wish they had that one back, but it that's why you go out and dominate the first half and give yourself a little bit of cushion. But they'll get those mistakes fixed and they'll be good to go.
Absolutely. And Temple goes or Rice goes down on the short field and scores a EJ Warner to Sykes pass to make it 30-7. And then Army gets the ball back and 30-7 in the third quarter, you're feeling pretty comfortable, but another three and out or something like that, and all of a sudden you start to give them a little bit of hope. And instead, Army marched down the field and I was waiting all day for Bryson Daly to break out of one of those piles and go on a long run. And that's exactly what he did down to the 1 yard line and then stuffed it in. Talk a little bit about that drive and the way that was a key kind of momentum killer for them.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, kind of like how I was saying in the first half with the momentum, like the field goal, that was a huge momentum shift, and then the interception into a touchdown, that was again like Rice finally gets some hope with that touchdown, like you said, 30-7, still in the third quarter, game's not out of reach. And then yeah, Army just responded on all of those kind of critical moments of like, all right, this is our chance to, you have them basically your foot on the throat, like let's finish this. And then they do, and then I think either that drive or the next drive, it's like the twos are already in. So
Yeah,
that was, just kind of that was the real dagger, and showed that, nothing in the first half was a fluke. Um, and if we would have left the starters in, we would have really poured it on you. So it was
right.
good getting those guys out early because you have a short
Yeah,
coming in for before Temple. So yeah, I mean all around, it was just everything was really clicking today, and they probably couldn't have asked for really a better result.
absolutely. Like you said, the twos played the whole fourth quarter on both sides of the ball. Actually, pretty impressive effort from the second team defense against Rice's starters.
Yep.
Rice did get the one touchdown, but they weren't making it easy for him. They were making them work their way down the field. Thought the second team D did a pretty good job there.
Interception.
And go ahead.
No, I was just saying they also got an interception. Like they got a
Oh
takeaway.
yeah, that's right.
Ones.
Yep.
Yep. So yeah, they look good.
Yes, they had the INT. And so, yeah, 37-14 final. Like you said, had the starter stayed in, probably would have been a lot worse, but important to get those guys rest on a short week. Alex, when you were a player, I don't think at West Point you had to deal with a short week, but maybe I'm wrong. In high school, I'm sure maybe you did. How difficult is that? Now, granted, Temple's dealing with the same thing, so it's not like they have a huge advantage. They play today as well. So talk a little bit about that and what that's like. Your week shortened up. You're instead of 7 days, you have 5 days. Is there going to be, much contact in practice? Kind of how important is rest and recovery? All those kinds of things.
Yeah, I mean, rest and recovery is huge, and it's something where, every other week of the entire season, it's just very structured. You know exactly what's going to happen Sunday, Monday, every single day is essentially the same throughout the year. So that short week, it changes some things. But Coach Monken, he's been coaching for a really long time. So, he has all the data and the mistakes he's made in the past, the things that went well, he knows exactly how to plan for a shortened week. So, maybe it's that whatever day of full pads is now, just helmets or shoulder pads and helmets, whatever it may be, they'll make the adjustments. But I mean, it's going to be a quick turnaround. So I don't even know if they'll watch this film. They
Hmm.
might just roll right into Temple
Roll
film.
right into Temple.
It's probably going to be a long night tonight because they're going to be game planning. So ready to hit the ground running because that is definitely a very short week. And yeah, so but yeah, honestly, these short weeks are pretty advantageous, I would think, for Army. I don't want to set them up here, but defending the options really hard and having two less days to do it
True.
is a tough task. So the Temple, they're gonna have to really shift their mindset really quick as well. So, it's gonna be exciting. But yeah, I think the coaching staff will definitely know how to handle this and they'll be good to go.
No, that's a really good point, Alex. I mean, Temple basically gets like a day and a half to prepare for the triple option, which I would not envy. So, Army's out of the gate 3-0. Every game's tough, but as far as the AAC goes, they don't have Memphis, they don't have Tulane, they don't have South Florida. As a player, you can't really talk about this or a coach, but as a fan, you kind of look at the schedule and go, okay, could be onto something if they stay healthy, don't make a lot of mistakes, don't turn the ball over. What do you see for Army against Temple? And as we kind of go into more of the meat of the schedule in October.
Yeah, I mean, this is year one, so there's not, there's no film that they could pull up from last year and all that kind of stuff where, you know, that's how they're building their game plan around it. They have these three games, and especially because Army was running a different offense last year, so there's not a ton to work with.
Right.
I'm assuming with how these games have gone for Army, they probably haven't pulled out the really deep in the playbook type plays.
Right.
So, I bet Cody Worley and Nate Woody still have some stuff in their back pocket that they can pull out when they need it, which is great. And yeah, so I mean, we're really going to see kind of how Army will look in the American. And yeah, I mean, it's exciting. I know
Right.
obviously Notre Dame is the big one on the schedule, but
Yep.
there's a lot of winnable games left, and you just got to take it one game at a time, one week at a time. And yeah, just keep grinding. I mean, that's really how it is. Keep watching film, and the coaches will put you in a position to succeed. You just have to go out and execute. So that's kind of how I see it.
Absolutely. Alex, thanks for your time today. We appreciate it at GoBlackKnights.com. You always do a great job. I really enjoyed this. Army fans, once again, Army 37-14 today over Rice. Short week, Thursday night against Temple in Philadelphia. GBK's post game will be back Thursday night, super late on the air. So I'm looking forward to that. And we'll see you guys later. Go Army, beat Navy, and beat Temple.